All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking what I can only describe as a truly radical perspective on the modern housing crisis. I mean, if you've been paying even a little bit of attention to the real estate market lately, you know that anxiety it's literally at an all-time high. But the source material we're digging into today, it doesn't offer your typical run-of-the-mill financial advice. No way. Instead, it proposes this profound philosophical shift. We're talking about moving entirely away from the frantic, sweaty-palmed anxiety of owning property and toward this broader concept of global stewardship. It's a completely fascinating paradigm shift, and we're going to break down exactly how this philosophy approaches wealth, purpose, and honestly, our connection to one another. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this by looking at how the fundamental, basic definition of a home has been completely distorted over time. According to the text, a home used to be just that, a simple, stable place of living, right? It was your natural foundation. But in the present day, wow, it is mutated into something else entirely. It's become a high-stakes tool for speculation, a massive marker of social status, and basically a sheer instrument of financial survival. The source argues that this transformation, this shift in meaning, is the actual root cause of the intense anxiety we see everywhere in society today. We've literally stopped looking at houses as shelter and started looking at them as financial lifelines.
Which brings us to Section 1, the real estate track.
So let's look at the acute despair that's really just sweeping through the ranks of young adults and renters today. The source describes this very specific cascading failure. You've got young people who are terrified, absolutely panicked that they'll be locked out of the market forever. So what do? They scrape together every single penny for extreme leveraging. They go all in. But then, the trap snaps shut. They get crushed by soaring interest rates, homes are forced into auction, and even the folks who never bought in the first place are left with these overwhelming feelings of deprivation. They look at a house and literally just see the money they missed out on. And the speaker makes a really poignant point here. Just telling these young adults to save more money is completely useless. It's tone deaf. We're dealing with a deep structural anxiety that absolutely cannot be fixed with your standard budgeting advice.
So let's look at Section 2, letting go of ownership. So, if standard financial advice isn't going to cut it, what is the answer? Well, the source offers a pretty startling perspective here that's going to create some major cognitive dissonance. It says, drop the greed of owning a house, leave them be, everything will be taken away. Wow. The text suggests that, sure, the older generation might have greedily hoarded real estate, but the universe, or nature if you will, operates on this strict law of balance. It will naturally strip away hoarded wealth from those who selfishly claim it as their absolute own. And usually, it does this by making the cost of protecting that wealth just unbearably high. So it's a complete, radical rejection of this frantic scramble to own things.
And that leads us to ask this massive, overarching question. Is this earth really ours? It completely challenges our entire modern worldview, doesn't it? The explainer here is shifting our perspective away from individual hoarding, that frantic need to put our name on a deed, and zooming way, way out to a collective, global reality.
That shift brings us right into Section 3, the capital of humanity.
Here, the source completely expands the concept of a home. It takes it from a personal, physical asset and turns it into this deeply interconnected global society. And honestly, the philosophy detailed here is incredibly humbling. It basically asserts that every single piece of knowledge we have, the culture we enjoy, even the clothes we wear and the resources we consume day to day, they are all absorbed from the blood, sweat, and energy of all of humanity. Think about that for a second. The speaker argues that nations should actually be viewed as hubs for the human race. It's not just my country, it's the capital of humanity. This means our resources, our knowledge, our very bodies inherently belong to the world at large. Because of that, trying to hoard things just for yourself isn't only selfish, it actually goes against the very flow of how human progress is built.
Moving on to Section 4, the Hongik mindset.
To actively live in alignment with that global flow, the text introduces a very specific framework. So the crucial point is understanding exactly what Hongik means. It translates to the philosophy and really the active project of broadly benefiting all of humanity through our shared resources, knowledge, and actions. You see, it's not just a passive thought you have while meditating, it's an active mandate for how you live. The source posits this as the absolute ultimate antidote to real estate despair, because when your goal is to genuinely benefit humanity, that frantic clawing anxiety of acquiring a tiny plot of land just for your own ego, it simply dissolves.
Let's see how this actually builds in practical terms. The speaker outlines this continually expanding scale of human consciousness using 4 pretty simple questions. Step 1, what must I do for my neighbor? Step 2, what must I do for society? Step 3, what must I do for my country? And finally, step 4, what must I do for humanity? The text suggests that routinely asking yourself and actually loudly vocalizing these 4 questions fundamentally transforms your mindset over time. It basically pulls you right out of your isolated anxiety and plugs you into a much, much greater purpose.
And this framework presents a brilliantly sharp contrast in natural law. First, you have the owner. Driven by greed, they claim things as mine, mine, mine. And according to this philosophy, nature will inevitably step in and take those things away because the owner is mismanaging that energy. But on the flip side, you have the steward. Driven by gratitude, the steward understands that, hey, they don't truly own anything. Instead, they are entrusted by nature to manage those resources for the betterment of society. The source makes a really compelling argument here. Resources are naturally stripped from hoarders and they're handed over to responsible stewards, who actually use them to elevate society as a whole.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5. We are all one.
Now, how in the world do we ground these massive, lofty philosophical concepts into our actual daily lives? Well, the source uses a really powerful metaphor here, pointing all the way back to the 1988 Olympics in Seoul. The speaker asks us to imagine a scenario where every single athlete, spectator, and official in that huge stadium held hands in massive concentric circles. We're talking 10 rows, 50 rows deep, all holding hands to send one unified message to the world: humanity is truly one. The core takeaway here is that unity and our human connections, those are the ultimate goals. Property is temporary, it comes and goes. But treating the people around you recklessly or failing to recognize just how incredibly precious those connections are, that is what leads to immense pain. You absolutely have to value the people around you more than the possessions you're trying so desperately to acquire.
Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought to chew on today. Are you an owner, desperately holding on to the illusion of property and letting anxiety completely dictate your life? Or are you a steward, managing resources, knowledge, and relationships for the future of humanity? It is a massive paradigm shift from the frantic real estate trap we're all seeing today. But according to our source material, making this specific mental shift is the literal key to escaping modern despair and building a truly meaningful future. Take a moment to reflect on your own mindset. Really think about it. And hey, we will see you next time as we continue to explain the fascinating ideas shaping our world.